Captain sat in the medical wing of Harmony Gate Station, checking supplies and making notes in his small office. The afternoon was quiet and normal. Outside the window, the vast darkness of space stretched forever. Stars twinkled like small lights in the black. Loved this moment of peace before the real work of the day began. Harmony Gate was a place where humans and the species met. Both civilizations came here to trade, share knowledge, and learn about each other. The station hung in space between their two worlds like a bridge. Humans and worked side by side in many sections. Sometimes they understood each other well. Other times, confusion and misunderstanding happened because their ways were so different. Had been living on the station for 2 years now. He was not just a captain. He was also a trained doctor and a volunteer who helped in the medical section whenever help was needed. His work kept him busy. He treated human workers, traded information with healers, and sometimes worked on problems that neither species had seen before. The alarm sounded suddenly. The sound cut through the quiet air with sharp pulses, stood up fast. His chair rolled back. He knew that alarm. It meant emergency. Someone was hurt bad. Someone needed help right now. He ran from his office toward the main medical area. The corridors were full of people moving quick. Some human staff moved past him. Some workers did the same. Everyone knew something serious was happening. When reached the emergency section, he saw 2 medical teams already working. One human team and one team stood ready. A transport shuttle had just arrived. The bay doors were still open. Cold air from the empty docking area made the temperature drop. Then the injured beings came through. A family emerged. The mother, tall and with blue-green skin that seemed to glow faintly, was not awake. Her body lay on a hovering medical bed. 2 attendants brought her in and moved her straight to a healing chamber. But it was the child that made everyone stop and look. A young girl, maybe 7 years old by human counting, moved with the workers, but she could barely walk. Her skin had lost its normal color. It looked pale and almost gray in some places. Her breathing came hard and rough, like her chest fought to bring air in and push air out. The girl's eyes were wide with fear. She looked from side to side, searching for her mother. When she saw the woman being placed in the healing chamber, she made a sound. It was not a word. It was a cry of pain and sadness mixed together. A healer named rushed forward. He was one of the lead doctors on the station. His skin was darker blue than the mother's, marked with lines that showed his age and experience. He moved straight to the girl and put his hand on her shoulder. "What happened?" asked, stepping closer. Turned to him. His face showed worry and something else, something like fear. Did not see fear on faces very much. "The blood sickness," said. "The daughter has it, the mother too, but she was stronger, the girl." He stopped and looked back at the child. "The girl is dying." Felt his stomach become tight. "What do you mean dying, right now?" "In hours," said. "Maybe less. Her body is breaking down. The disease eats her cells. We have medicines, but they do not work because her blood type is rare. Very rare. We have no donors who match. No can help her. The sickness kills those with her blood type before it kills most others." The girl made that sound again. The cry of a child who knew something was wrong but did not understand what. Looked at the monitoring machines. Numbers jumped and fell. Colors changed on the display screens. All the numbers told the same story. The girl was getting worse every minute. Her heart was working too fast. Her blood was not carrying oxygen right. Her organs were starting to fail. He thought fast. In his mind, he searched for every piece of medical knowledge he had learned in his life. He thought about blood types. He thought about DNA and how different species were made. He thought about what made blood different from human blood. Then something came to him. A study he had read once. A research report about genetic similarities between humans, and some human genetic codes matched some genetic codes in a strange way. It was rare. It should not happen. But it did. Scientists called it the overlap. Step toward. "What if we tried human blood?" he asked. Looked at him like had said something crazy. "That would kill her faster," said. "The rejection would be instant. Her body would attack the foreign blood." "Not all human blood," said. His mind was working fast now, connecting ideas like pieces of a puzzle. "I am type OB. I have read about the overlap. The rare human type OB shares markers with some rare types. It is in old research files, if her blood type matches those markers." "It would be a 1 in 10,000 chance," said. "But it is a chance," said. "Without it she dies in hours, with it maybe she lives." Was quiet. He looked at the girl he looked back at the girl. "We would need to run a test first," said slowly, "to see if there is any compatibility at all. If there is even the smallest match, we could try. But Captain, if this fails, you will have given her false hope. You will have made her last hours harder. And if we do nothing, she dies knowing we never even tried," said. He did not wait for more words. He moved to the medical station and started the blood test process. His own blood mixed with samples from the girl in a special chamber. The machines tested and analyzed. Numbers appeared on screens. Minutes passed like hours. Then one number changed color. Green. A small green light that meant compatibility. It was not perfect, it was weak, but it was there. "The markers match," the machine said in a flat voice. "Compatibility at 7.2%, extremely low. Risk of rejection is high. Probability of success is estimated at 34%. 34%, less than 1 in 3. Took a breath. "If you donate, you must give enough blood," he said. "A small amount will not save her. You must give enough to flood her system with compatible cells. It will weaken you. You may need recovery time." "Do it," said. He lay back on a medical bed. The machines were connected to his arm. His blood began to flow into tubes, drawn from his body into containers. He felt light and tired as the blood left him. His heart beat fast and strong to pump more blood where the needles were taking it away. The girl watched from her bed. Her eyes followed the red liquid as it moved through the tubes toward her. She was afraid. She was always afraid, but she was still alive. For now, she was still alive. Looked at her face. He thought about his own family far away on Earth. He thought about mothers and daughters and the simple fact that they were alive, that they breathed and moved and laughed. "It is enough," said after long minutes. The tube stopped. The needles came out, felt weak but not broken. He had given blood many times before. This was just more of it. Moved quickly. The blood from was mixed with special solutions that would help it move through the girl's body without attacking her. Then the needle went into the girl's arm. The red blood, the human blood, the blood that came from, started to flow into her. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her body shook. Her eyes went wide. The machine started to sound alarms. Her heartbeat jumped higher. "It is rejecting," said, his hands moving fast on the controls. But then something changed. The shaking stopped. The alarms quieted down. The numbers on the screens began to move back toward normal, not perfect, not healthy, but better. Slowly, steadily better. The girl's breathing became easier. Her eyes started to close. She was falling asleep. The color started to come back to her skin, not bright yet, but no longer gray. "She lives," said wonder in his voice. "Captain, she lives." Closed his eyes and let himself rest too. Outside the window, the stars continued to shine. On the station, 2 species had just learned something new about what it meant to save a life. 3 days had passed since gave his blood. The girl, whose name was awake and walking. She moved slowly and her skin was still pale, but she was alive. The doctors said she would make a full recovery in another week or 2. Her mother had also recovered. The disease had not hurt her as badly as it had hurt. Human blood had not saved in the same way. But the doctors had found other treatments that worked for her condition once they understood what they were fighting. Was back in the medical wing doing lighter work than normal. Giving blood took strength from a person. The station doctors had ordered him to rest for at least a week. He did not like sitting still. He did not like being told what to do, but he also knew they were right. His body felt heavy. His mind was slower than normal. He was sitting in the rest area, drinking a hot drink to help his body rebuild its blood, when someone came to find him. Entered the room with another person. This new person had seen her from far away in the medical wing, but had not spoken to her since she woke up. She was tall. She moved with a way that showed strength and some kind of authority. Her skin was blue-green like all, but her color was deeper, richer. Her eyes were large and dark, but not like animal eyes. They held intelligence and feeling and something else that could not name. Captain said, "This is Mother of, she wished to speak with you." Stood up, though it made him dizzy for a moment. "How is your daughter?" he asked. It was the polite thing to ask. Looked at him for a long moment without speaking. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft but it carried weight. "She lives because of you," said. "Before, I thought I would hold her body in my arms and sing the death song of my people. Now she runs and plays in the medical wing. The nurses say she will grow to be strong." "I just did what I could do," said. "You gave your blood," said. "You gave your life substance to save her life substance. In ways, this is not a small thing. This is not something we forget." Did not understand the strange emphasis she put on certain words. He did not understand why she looked at him in that particular way. But he knew something important had happened. Something more important than just a medical treatment. "I am glad she is well," he said. "That is all that matters." Nodded, but she did not look satisfied with this answer. "There will be a formal gathering," she said. "In 2 days when your body has recovered more. The council on this station wants to recognize what you have done. My family wants to meet you. We want to give you gifts and thanks in the proper way." "That is not necessary," said quickly. "Saving was the right thing to do." "To your people perhaps," said. "To my people, when you give your genetic material, your blood, to save another life, bonds are created. The child becomes connected to the giver of blood. The family becomes connected. This is our way." Felt something shift in the air. Something in the way spoke made his skin feel tight. There was meaning under her words that he was not catching. "I understand," he said, though he was not sure he did understand. "I will come for you," said. "The gathering will be in the quarter. We will show you respect. We will show you gratitude." She sat back down and finished his hot drink. It was cold now. He did not taste much. 2 days later, put on clean clothes and went to the quarter. He had been there before for work meetings, but never for anything like this. The space was different than the human areas of the station. The light was dimmer, more blue. The air was warmer and had a smell like salt and something green. "We're gathering, maybe 20 of them. They wore clothes that were different from working clothes. These clothes had colors and patterns that seemed to catch the light." Stood in the middle of the gathering, was beside her. When saw, she made a sound of happiness and tried to run to him, but put a hand on her shoulder and held her still. Looked confused but obeyed. An old man stepped forward. His skin was the darkest blue had ever seen. Lines covered his face and his body, marking him as very old. "I am elder," the old man said in careful human words. "We gather to show thanks for blood given in sacrifice. Captain, you have saved the life of Young. You have given your own strength to bring her back from the edge of death. This creates debt. This creates bond." "I do not expect repayment," said. "It is not repayment we offer," another said. This one was a woman about's age. "It is recognition, it is honor." Gifts were brought forward. A piece of worked metal that seemed to have light inside it. Cloth that was soft and almost glowed. Food that smelled like nothing had ever smelled before. These things were placed at his feet. Then stepped forward. "Captain," she said, and her voice was steady and formal. "My family has a proposal to make. My mate died 3 years ago from the same sickness that nearly took. My child needs siblings. In our biology, the child of two healthy parents is stronger. In our culture, when someone saves a life with their blood, they become part of the family line. Felt his stomach drop. What are you saying? He asked slowly. I am saying, said carefully, that if you were willing, I would ask you to father a second child for my family. Your genetics have proven strong enough to save my daughter. Your child with me would carry that strength into the future. This would be the greatest honor my family could show you. Everything became very quiet. Looked at the faces around him. They all watched him with expressions that seemed to expect an answer. They seemed to think this was a good thing. They seemed to think he would want this. I started, but he did not know what to say next. You do not have to answer now, Elder said, but know that this is the highest request we can make. Know that we believe this is what your blood gift has earned. Left the gathering still confused. Back in his quarters, he looked at the gifts they had given him. He thought about and her big eyes. He thought about and the way she had looked at him. He realized that what he saw as a simple medical act, the saw as something much larger, something that connected him to them in ways he had never expected. And now they wanted something that made him very uncomfortable. He did not sleep well that night, walked through the station corridors feeling confused and worried. The request from his family was all he could think about. He did not know what to do. He did not know how to respond. Most of all, he did not understand how something so simple had become so complicated. He found himself walking toward the cultural exchange office. Worked there. She was a human expert who knew more about culture than almost anyone else on the station. If anyone could help him understand what meant, it would be her. Was sitting at her desk, looking at information on a screen. When she saw, she smiled and waved him in. What brings you here? Asked. You look like someone who ate bad food and then saw a ghost. Sat down and tried to organize his thoughts into words that made sense. I need to understand something about culture, he said. Something about what it means when they make certain requests. Leaned back in her chair and gave her full attention. Okay, I will help if I can. What did they ask you to do? Told her everything. He explained about the blood transfusion. He explained about the gathering and the gifts. He explained about his request to father a second child. As he spoke, his expression changed. At first she was interested. Then her eyes got wider. By the time he finished, she was sitting forward with great interest. Oh wow, said. Oh wow, this is actually really significant. It feels like pressure, said. It feels like they are asking me to do something I do not want to do, something that in human culture would be very personal and important. They are treating it like a business agreement. That is because to them, it kind of is a business agreement, said. She stood up and walked to a shelf of books and documents. She pulled out a thick folder and came back. Let me explain reproduction and biology, because you are not understanding it from their point of view. Opened the folder and showed charts and information about reproduction. Do not reproduce the way humans do, said, pointing at diagrams. Well, they do biologically, but the cultural meaning is very different. For humans, reproduction is usually connected to love and romantic partnership. For reproduction is more about genetics and survival of the species. So does not love me? Asked. She probably does not love you the way a human woman might love a human man, said. But that does not mean she does not care about you. In thinking, love comes in different types. There is romantic love, which is rare and personal. There is family love, which is about blood connection and responsibility. There is respect love, which happens when someone does something great. Which one is feeling? Asked. All of them probably, said, but mostly family love and respect love. She sees you as someone who proved their genetic fitness by saving her daughter's life. In biology, that is a sign of good health and good genetics. She would want those genes mixed with hers to make a strong child. Felt uncomfortable hearing this. It made sense from a scientific point of view, but it felt cold and empty. The point is, continued, is not asking you to fall in love with her and marry her and live with her forever. She is asking for a specific biological arrangement. In her mind, she is offering you the highest honor her culture can offer. But what about consent? Asked. What about what I want? That is where human and culture clash, said seriously. They think they have been clear about what they want. They think they have offered you a choice. But in their world, the choice is very logical and straightforward. To them, refusing seems strange, like you are rejecting good sense and good biology. Put his head in his hands. This is too much, he said. I did not sign up for this when I donated blood. I know, said gently, but you need to understand that they are not being disrespectful to you. They are honoring you in the only way they know how. They genuinely believe they are offering you something good. So what do I do? Asked. Sat back down and thought for a moment. You have 3 choices, she said. First, you can say no firmly and clearly. They will respect a clear refusal, though they will be disappointed. Second, you can leave the station. Avoid the whole situation. Third, you can try to find a way to honor their request while also honoring yourself and your own culture. What would the third option look like? Asked. That depends on you, said. Could you agree to fathering a child in a way that feels right to you? Would you want to be involved in the child's life? What kind of relationship do you want with and? Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, stars filled the void of space. Earth was out there somewhere far away. His family was there. His life before coming to the station was there. But was here. The little girl who had almost died, who was alive because he had been willing to try something impossible. I need to think, he said. Take your time, said. But do not take too long. We'll be waiting for an answer. The station will be waiting. The council is already talking about this situation. It is becoming political. That night visited in the medical wing. The girl was drawing with colored tools on a piece of flat material. Her drawing showed 2 figures. One was tall and blue-green like a. One was shorter and had skin tones like a human. Is that your mother? Asked, pointing at the tall figure. Nodded. She made a sound that in language probably meant yes. Is that me? He asked, pointing at the human figure. Nodded again and smiled. She took his hand and pulled him down to sit beside her. In her simple way, she showed him more drawings. One showed the 2 of them together. One showed them with another smaller figure. Realized was drawing her future. She was drawing the family that might exist if he said yes to his request. Do you want a brother or sister? Asked softly. Made sounds that he could not understand, but her face showed happiness. She squeezed his hand tight. Looked at this small being who was alive because of him. He thought about what it would mean to be part of her family. He thought about what kind of man he wanted to be. Maybe, he thought, the answer was not just yes or just no. Maybe the answer was something new, something that no one had tried before. Something that honored both his human ways and ways. He stood up and told he would see her tomorrow. He had to talk to, but this time it would not be a formal gathering. This time it would be just the 2 of them. This time they would find a way to build something together. Requested a meeting within a private room, away from her family and the watching eyes of the station. She came alone and was grateful for that. He wanted to have this conversation without audience or pressure. Sat across from him. She was patient and still. She did not rush him to speak. I have been thinking about your request, began slowly. I need to be honest with you about what I can and cannot do. Nodded. She seemed to understand that this conversation would be serious. In my human culture, said, making a child is connected to things that are different from your culture. It is connected to commitment and partnership and emotional bonds. I cannot simply give genetic material like it is a transaction. I am not made that way as a human. My mind and my heart are connected to my body in ways that matter. Listened without interrupting. But continued, I also understand that you are not asking for romance. You are not asking me to abandon my human ways and become. You are asking for something practical. You want to create a healthy child. You want to have a sibling. You believe my genetics will make that happen." He paused. "I think you are right," he said. "I think my blood did save. I think any child created between us might be strong and healthy, and I think I want to be part of that, but I want to do it in a way that honors both of us." Leaned forward slightly. "What do you propose?" she asked. Had spent all night thinking about this. "I propose something new," he said. "Something that has not been done before between our species. I propose a formal agreement, a document that both humans and recognize, an agreement that says I will help create a child with you, that I will be involved in my child's life at a level that I choose, that I will send money for the child's care and education, that I will return to the station sometimes to see my child and—" "But not to live with us?" asked. "No," said. "I cannot do that. I am human. My life is not here on a station between worlds, but I can be a father in the way that humans understand fatherhood. I can care. I can be present sometimes. I can know my child and watch them grow." Was quiet for a long moment. "And what of me?" she asked. "What of your responsibility to me as the mother of your child?" "I respect you," said. "I think you are strong and intelligent. I think you are doing what is right for your family, but I cannot be a mate to you. I cannot pretend to feel something that I do not feel. I can only be honest with you and offer what I can actually give." Expected her to refuse. He expected her to say that his offer was not enough, but instead, his face changed. Her expression became something like respect mixed with understanding. "You speak clearly," said. "You do not hide behind false words or false emotions. This is good. This is honest. In my experience, humans often hide what they really think, but you do not hide." She stood up and walked to the small window in the room. She looked out at space for a long moment. "My mate was," she said. "We had traditional bonding. We loved in the way of our people, but he is gone. I do not expect another traditional bonding. I am too old for those kinds of games. What I want now is simple. I want my daughter to have good genetics. I want her to have a sibling. I want someone strong and brave to help me create that future." She turned back to. "Your offer is good," said. "It is different from ways, but it is honest. If you will create this formal agreement, I will accept your terms." Felt relief move through his body like a wave. "Thank you," he said. "We should tell the council," said. "They need to know this arrangement. They need to understand that humans and can make new kinds of agreements when our traditions meet." Over the next week, worked with both human and legal experts to create the document. It was complicated work. The two species had different legal systems and different ideas about responsibility and rights. But the legal experts rose to the challenge. They created something new. A document that acknowledged both human and law, a document that gave rights as a father and made responsible as the mother, a document that made clear the financial support and the commitment to be involved in the child's life. The council reviewed it. The human station commander reviewed it. Both groups approved it. It became the first formal genetic partnership ever recorded. When the agreement was announced to the station, reactions were mixed. Some humans thought was crazy. Some thought he was brave. Some thought he was doing something wrong. Other humans simply did not understand why this mattered so much. The seemed more accepting. To them, it made sense. Genetics made sense. Family responsibility made sense. That humans and could work together on something this important seemed natural to them. Spent more time with and after the agreement was signed. He learned about food, though much of it was not suitable for human stomachs. He played games with that he invented on the spot. He listened to talk about her life and her family and her hopes for the future. He discovered that was funny in her own way. She made jokes about human customs that were strange to her. She was curious about Earth and asked many questions. She was intelligent and thoughtful. Most importantly, she never demanded emotion that did not feel. She seemed comfortable with the arrangement exactly as it was, practical, honest, built on respect rather than romance. When the time came, the medical workers performed the biological procedure, gave genetic material, received it. The process was fast and clean and scientific. Afterward, they sat together in the medical facility. "If it works," said, "you will have a child in about 4 months. Pregnancies are shorter than human pregnancies." "And if it does not work?" asked. "We will try again," said simply. Thought about this. He thought about the child that might grow inside's body, a child that would be part and part human, a child that would be proof that two very different species could create something together. He thought about who had already drawn pictures of her future sister. He thought about Earth, far away in the distance, and the family he had left behind. And he thought about how a simple act of giving blood had changed everything, how saving one child's life had created connections that spread across 2 worlds. "If it does not work," said, "then we will try again." Looked at him and nodded. She put her hand on his arm, not in the way of romance, but in the way of partnership and understanding. For the first time since made her request, felt like he was exactly where he should be. 6 months had passed since gave his genetic material too. The pregnancy had progressed well. Women carried their children differently than human women, but the development was strong and healthy. The medical machines showed a perfect growing child inside. Now stood in the birth chamber with medical workers around her. Was there too, though they had seemed surprised at his request to be present. In human culture, fathers witnessed births. In culture, birth was a more private medical procedure, but they had allowed him to stand in the corner where he could see but would not be in the way. The child was coming, breathed in patterns that her body seemed to know. She did not cry out. She did not seem afraid. She seemed instead focused and determined, like someone completing an important task. Hours passed, then the child was born. It was a girl. She came into the world wet and small and moving. She made sounds that were part and part something else entirely. Her skin was not fully blue-green likes. It had hints of human coloring mixed in. Her size was smaller than a full child. The mix of genetics had created something new, something that belonged to both worlds. The workers cleaned the infant and checked her health. Everything was perfect. She had good weight. Her lungs worked well. Her genetic structure showed strong markers from both species. Held her daughter and looked at her face for a long time. Her expression was one of satisfaction and relief, and something that might have been joy. "She is beautiful," said. Moved closer and looked at the infant. She was strange and wonderful and perfect in the way that all newborns were perfect. "What will you name her?" asked. Said, "It is a human name that works also in language." I thought, if she is both human and she should have a name that works in both worlds. Felt something move in his chest, something warm that he had not expected. "Is a good name," he said. Over the next weeks, spent time with and both of her daughters, was delighted to be a big sister. She held carefully and showed the infant everything in her world. She made sounds too, and the infant made sounds back. They seemed to understand each other in ways that went beyond words. Recovered from the birth quickly. Women seemed to be built strong for this work. She returned to her normal activities within a week, carrying with her always. The station began to recognize what had happened. A human and a had created a child together, not in a hidden way or an illegal way, but openly and through formal agreement. The child was registered with both human and authorities. She had legal recognition from both worlds. Some humans on the station did not approve. Some thought it was strange and unnecessary, but many from both species seemed to understand that something important had happened. A barrier had been crossed. A bridge had been built. Children are the future, both humans and said. This child is the future of both our peoples. But not everyone was happy about it. The political situation on the station began to change. Some groups wanted to limit contact between humans and they said the mixing was wrong. They said both species should stay separate. The station commander called to a meeting. "We have received complaints," the commander said. She was human, a woman named who had always been fair and practical. "From both human and sides, some people do not approve of the arrangement between you and—" "What does that matter?" asked. "We have done nothing illegal. We have done everything properly." "I know," said, "and you have my support, but politics are changing. The human leadership on Earth is getting more conservative. The government is also becoming more protective of their genetics. There are people who want to use your situation as proof that humans and should not cooperate so closely." Felt angry, he felt frustrated. "So what do you recommend?" he asked. "I recommend that you plan to leave the station," said. "Not immediately. Give it a few more months. Let get strong and healthy. But I think you should return to Earth. I think that is the safest thing for you and her daughters." Left the meeting with heavy thoughts. He had not planned to stay on the station forever. He had always known he would return to Earth someday. But being told to leave, being told that his presence had become political, made it feel different. He went to his quarters and told her what had said. Listen, she did not seem surprised. "I have been hearing the same things," said. "Both governments are becoming afraid. They are afraid of what humans and might become if we work together. They are afraid of change." "I am sorry," said. "I did not mean to create this situation." "You did not create the situation," said. "You created a daughter. You created a choice. Now others must decide what they will do with that choice, but you did nothing wrong." They talked through the night, held while she slept in the next room. Outside, the station moved through the darkness of space like a small light in an endless void. They decided that would leave in 3 months. That would give time to grow strong. It would give time to establish herself as a single mother again, which was not unusual in society. It would give both families time to prepare. But the connection would not break. Would send money every month for care and education. He would record messages that could show to both girls. He would return to the station every year if it was possible. He would be a father, even from a distance. When the time came, packed his belongings and prepared to leave. He stood in the observation deck with and both daughters. Was almost 3 months old now. She still did not understand what was happening, but she looked at with eyes that recognized him. Understood better. She held his hand and her face was sad. "Will you come back?" asked in simple words. "Yes," said. "I will come back, not soon, but I will come back, I promise." Stood within her arms. "Thank you," said, "for not leaving when things became difficult. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being the kind of man who saves a child's life and then stays to see that child have a future. Thank you for being the kind of mother who could accept a human man in your family," said. "Thank you for showing me that different worlds could meet." The shuttle that would take him back to Earth waited below, looked at Earth in the distance, blue and green and white, his home, his family, the world where he was born. But also standing in front of him were and newborn, also part of his world now, connected by blood, connected by choice, connected by something that had no name in any language but was understood by every species that had ever created a family. "I will contact you every week," promised. "We will listen every time," said. Held one more time. He looked at her strange and beautiful face. Half human, completely unique, completely new, completely the future. Then he boarded the shuttle. As it lifted off and moved away from the station, watched through the window. He watched and waved. He watched the station get smaller and smaller. He watched as the darkness of space grew larger around him. Back on the station, humans and continued to work together. Some groups remained against the cooperation. Some groups continued to support it, but most had simply moved on to other business. The political storm had passed. The bridge that and had built still stood. On Earth would tell his family about and he would show them the recording sent. He would explain to them that family could take forms that no one had expected, that love could grow between different species, that one person's choice to save a child could change two worlds. And someday, when was old enough, she would travel to Earth and meet her father's family, would come with her. They would see the world where came from. They would understand that their father was just as much human as he was their family. Years would pass. The cooperation between humans and would grow stronger. Other relationships like ents would happen. Mixed children would be born. New possibilities would open up. It all started with one man giving blood to save a child. It all started with one mother making a strange request. It all started with two people choosing to be honest instead of hiding. It all started with both species being willing to build something new. In the vast darkness of space, on a small station between worlds, a new future had been born. And though returned to Earth, part of him would always be there. Part of him would always be in's eyes, in's laughter, in's quiet strength. The bridge had been built, and it would not be broken.